How old were you when you first started making art, and what inspired you to draw or paint?
Okay, well, I guess early as I can remember. Even before I can remember, my family and people have told me, like when I was 3 years old, I'd just be sitting around scribbling with crayons even before I knew how to draw or anything. So I guess obviously there was some fascination even that early on for me, or it just appealed to me, kind of thing. As far as I can remember, like back since I was like 5, 6, liking to draw and stuff like that. I guess school related stuff, drawing contests, whenever that was a thing.
Did you do the rodeo art?
Jumped in. I didn't grow up around Houston,
Okay.
so no, but where I grew up, South Texas, we had like 4-H stuff. We had like small time rodeos, so I remember the 4-H program. My parents had me in there, and I was like, this stuff's weird. I don't want to build anything out of metal or bake anything. But there was like a teacher told me, you can draw. You like to draw, right? So I did some illustrations, things like that. Won some ribbons for it. The local HEB when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, put in the newspaper, drawing contest for kids. Draw something that illustrates a balanced breakfast. I drew a bowl of cereal and stuff. I might have been the only kid who entered, but I won. And I got a little laser tag game as a prize. That was cool. My picture in the paper. Stuff like that. My family, my older sister would always point out competitions like that for me. There was like a national thing, junior art competition.
And how old were you when you did that?
Geez, the national thing, probably between 10 or 12, somewhere around that age.
Okay, and so that, for example, this piece was around that time
Yeah,
frame?
that was that time, so.
So were you doing like pencil drawing?
It was a pencil drawing. I wish I had a picture of it. It was like, I had my sketchbook sit on my lap, and I did a very MC Escher kind of drawing of my sketchbook and my feet inside the sketchbook, and it just went on to infinity. Cool. So I won like a little medal for that. So a handful of things like that. Fire prevention week in 4th grade or something. Draw something fire related. It was kind of graphic. Like it was like a lot of people on fire and firefighters working on it. It was like pretty humorous, but I got like first place and got a bundle of art supplies out of it. So yeah, as long as I can remember, I've been doing stuff like that.
Cool.
Since I was a kid.
And you got recognized for it pretty early on, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was a small town. I had a twin brother, I still do, twin brother growing up, and he was the super social guy, I was the quiet guy, and everybody knew, oh, you're Nick's brother, you're the one who does the art. Like, that's kind of what I was known for, like all through childhood, and with peers and everything, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What in your visual world inspires you to make art?
You mean like just what I see every day?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so with this recent stuff that I did for the library, this is some of my more recent oil paintings, and I think it might be kind of obvious. Just going outside, seeing clouds and nature inspires me a lot. Usually throughout the day or throughout my week and stuff. If it's a nice day, if I see some nice clouds, if I stop at a red light or something, I can take my phone out real quick. I'll take a photo of that. So
you mentioned taking photos. Do you use models or photos most of the time, or do you paint from your imagination sometimes, or a mix of both?
Both. It depends on the type of work I'm doing. So for these pieces, I had a reference photo for each one. And I wish I could find the exact references, but I have some here of like some stuff I want to do in the future. And the library like actually helped me out with this using your poster printer.
Oh yeah.
For that stuff. So these are all photos that I've taken, in the past or recently. And yeah, the number there, that's like my projected, the ideal dimensions of the finished piece.
Oh, okay.
Just to remind myself. So I'll find a board that's suitable. Like, this is what I use a lot on. That's what these 3 paintings are on, masonite board. And so the dimensions just remind me which one I want to grab for to start on that piece when I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, as far as my landscape, or if you call it skyscapes, I use a lot of my own photos as references. But for like my more illustrating stuff, I'll use references from movies or the internet. Yeah, every now and then I'll draw something just completely from my imagination, but even if it's something real simple and graphic like that, it doesn't look like a realistic elephant, but I'll still look at a picture of an elephant in real life on the internet,
Yeah.
just to kind of get like something that kind of makes sense, you know.
Gotcha. Or a robot.
Yeah, I really like, oh, you're talking about what I like to see in real life throughout the day that inspires me. Just graphic design stuff, illustrations. I really like old-fashioned vintage illustrations. I love going to antique stores mainly for the prints and stuff. It's kind of like what I got there that inspires me a lot. Yeah, kind of illustrations before we had computers and stuff, people doing it the old-fashioned way. A lot of Disney stuff, the classic Disney films. I got a bunch of books there from Disney history and illustrations. So it may not look anything like this work, but it does inspire color usage, and
Yeah.
then my illustrations, it all kind of ties in.
So, speaking of that, so you mentioned Disney and some early graphic designers. Who are some of your favorite artists?
Right now I had to write some down.
Sure.
'Cause I always forget. Like, so the stuff, kind of impressionist, in my opinion. I'd be open to see if anyone else thinks so, or if they want to school me on that. But probably 7 years ago, maybe a little longer, Museum of Fine Arts Houston had an impressionist show with a lot of Van Goghs and Monets and all that. I went over there and it was pretty inspiring. I hadn't done much impressionism up to that point. Before then, I was like really technical. I like to do everything really realistic, almost like a photo or something.
Yeah.
I had this weird conception that like that's how you judged the quality of a piece of art, is how realistic it was. Kind of dumb. I mean, we learned.
You go through phases of your
Yeah.
development. Yeah.
So seeing more impressionist pieces in person was real inspiring. A lot of, Monet and Toulouse-Lautrec, some of my favorites. Van Gogh's great, but everybody says Van Gogh's their favorite.
He's just the most pop culture
Yeah.
impressionist.
So yeah, got a lot of inspiration out of those.
When you saw them in person, I know it looks different in person than seeing an illustration in a book
Right.
or replication of it. What inspired you about that? Was it the layers of paint, or the way?
Just a photo just doesn't do it justice.
Yeah.
Seeing them in person, the way the light actually penetrates and reflects through the medium, you just can't capture that in a textbook or on the internet.
Sure.
And yeah, actually getting up close and seeing the brush strokes. If you've done any painting, and you see that, there's kind of a resonance. You can kind of imagine, get inside the head of the artist and be like, wow, they were probably standing right here, and to do that color and this shape, they were doing this gesture, and it's just, it's really interesting, really.
Wow. What styles have you experimented with other than pencil and paint? Anything else?
All kinds. I feel like I've been all over the place. I guess the weirdest thing for me as an artist is I feel like I'm 36 now, so I've been drawing and painting for at least 30 years, and I feel like I haven't really cultivated like my signature style. So yeah, I feel like I've done so many styles and mediums. I used to do tattooing, so I've gotten, I love to do the old-fashioned Americana and also old Japanese style illustrations. I do a lot of that. Of course, some classical oil paintings. I've done more contemporary oil paintings, more like illustrations. And yeah, pencil, pen. When I was younger, high school, I did the rock and roll, punk rock looking stuff. That was lots of skulls and gore and zombies, comic book style. just all over the place.
Have you ever attempted like illustrating a comic book or putting
Yeah,
characters together?
high school I was really big into that. I was drawing my own comic books. Shoot, probably have a few. Probably not going to get into reading any of these, but just so you can see the scope, here's some old high school stuff, and these are. Oh, that was a pretty good one, watercolor. Yeah, so I've done a lot of. Oh yeah, that's all high school stuff. A lot of ink and pencil sketches, just sitting around getting my work done and being bored and just drawing. Yeah, lots of that
Impressive.
stuff.
You were like teenager, 17, 18?
Yeah, 15 through 18, yeah.
Does anyone else in your family paint or draw?
Not like to the extent that I do, but everybody in my family kind of likes to do a little bit of dabbling in crafts. Mainly my mom, I guess you could say she was a big inspiration when I started out. She wouldn't never sit down and do a painting or a drawing, but she would do a lot of crafts, like take a flower pot and paint a flower on it, you know, stuff like that. So she always had like a bin of craft paints and materials and tools, and would like share it with me. That's how I did a lot of my early paintings and drawings, was just borrowing art supplies from my mom.
That's important, your parents leaving stuff around for you to use.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Does your professional life ever inspire your art?
Yeah, well, so my professional life.
You were a tattoo artist, you were saying before.
Oh yeah, before, definitely. But there you could kind of say my love of art inspired me to be a tattooer.
Fair.
But then also there was some reciprocation. Learning about tattoo culture and learning about tattoo art also had a big impact on all my artwork after that experience.
And then how about working for the city?
Yeah, so working for the city, maintenance guy for the parks department. So I'm outdoors at least half the day. And even if I'm working indoors, I'm traveling between locations. So I'm constantly looking at the sky, looking at nature and trees and stuff like that. And that inspires me a lot. It's kind of almost disheartening to be out and about and be like, wow, that's a beautiful skyscape, or that cloud mass or whatever, or this tree. I wish I could paint that, and it's just, I put it on the list.
Snap a quick
photo.
photo.
Yeah, and maybe one day I'll get to it.
Nice. What mediums are most challenging for you?
Well, so as far as painting, I've painted watercolor, acrylic, and oil. And so I'd say out of those three, oils, I'd say they're the most challenging. And I say that because there's a lot of precautions. You don't want to let that stuff dry on your brushes. You want to clean it up. You don't want to spill it on the floor and step on it, and then you go walk through your house and track it everywhere. Just oil is a little more complex to work with. It takes a lot more time to allocate to like sitting down, because you got to have your setup time, cleanup time.
Yeah.
But as far as something that's really challenging, like sculpting is something I've been wanting to make more time for. Sculpting with clay. I got a few little. Here's the only clay sculptures I've done. They haven't been painted yet. It's a little sushi and a pear. That's with Sculpey clay, which is great. But just working with those, it was like giving me a headache. How to hold it and work on this side without leaving indentions from my fingers, that kind of deal. Working.
And they're so small, just the finesse
Oh, yeah.
of working with something that small.
And just working in the 3D space, since I'm so used to done so much two-dimensional artwork.
So, just a bit of a personal / philosophical question. Do you think most people are born with artistic instincts? If they're an artist, if they end up being an artist, do you think they're born with the instinct to do that, or do you think something happens to them early in life that makes them want to do that?
Yeah, I guess it's a very, in my opinion, that's kind of a limited way of looking at it. I feel like, man, it could be like really complex for a lot of people. Because gosh, there's people that I've known who've, because when people find out I'm an artist, they want to share their artistic endeavors, experiences, and stuff like that, especially tattooing. I've worked next to professional artists, like dozens of them, and I've observed that there are people who seem to have a natural born talent, like I guess you could call it a natural eye for certain things. There are people who have a big drive to want to be a great artist, but, you know, just to be honest, kind of lack a little of that natural eye. And there's certain things that you can be taught. I mean, there's tons of stuff. Everybody takes like art class in high school. You can take it in college. You can take private classes, and a lot of things. They'll teach you about why a painting looks good and why a painting doesn't. All about color theory, how to use your mediums, blending. You can learn all kinds of techniques and the real textbook stuff, and that can make a person a better artist.
Yeah.
Some people seem like they're just born with that knowledge, or they can just observe that, look at a painting, and be like, I know why that looks good and why this one doesn't. So for some people, that's a natural thing, it seems. Other people can learn that. And then also there's the whole technical side of it. There's probably people who are born with that mindset, with the eye to be a great artist and the technical skills, but maybe something in life holds them back.
Yeah.
Maybe they think that just artwork isn't for them, that kind of thing. So yeah, that can
Good answer.
go a lot of ways.
So tell me a little bit about, you did a cityscape, and it was kind of surreal and smoky looking, and it was on display at the library.
I'm going to look at my phone just so I
Sure.
can think about it as we're talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and what inspired you to come up with the idea to do that?
Okay.
It's very unlike a lot of your other art.
So maybe the story behind it isn't as fantastic as you might hope, but for one, it's probably the oldest piece that I had there. It was a piece I did in community college when I was like 18 or 19. It was either drawing or design class. I took like every art class available to me my 1 year of community college. The assignment was the drawing teacher had a stack of National Geographic magazines. Said grab a magazine, find a photo, and just do an 18 by 24 drawing of the photo in the magazine. And I wish I could tell you exactly where it was, some European city. And I just really liked the photo. It was a photo a professional photographer had taken. It just looked nice to me and inspired me. And my instructor had been pushing me to stop drawing, trying to make everything look like a photograph. Kept hitting me over the head with that. And it was something that I had to learn a lot about, like that there's beauty in seeing the medium. Like I used to try and to disguise my pencil marks and things like that to make it look, you know, like you couldn't see brush strokes and pencil marks and all that. So I just went for it. It's ink wash. It was the first thing, just diluted ink with a paintbrush to block out some of the grays you can see there. So it's a mixed media piece.
Okay.
And then I went in with some harder black ink to block in some darker areas. Looks like, and some chalk pastels for the color highlights, the yellows, oranges, all around there. And I guess my approach to it was just to emphasize the things in the photo that were most interesting to me. The peaks of the buildings, the lamppost, and there's the figure in the middle. I kind of made it detailed enough that you could tell it was a person, and then if you get in there really close, I believe you can see some details in the face. That's where I put a little more work into, because I just thought that was more interesting. So my teacher was happy that I finally like kind of broke out of my shell. And you could say, you know, that's kind of a stepping stone to some of the other pieces I've done, the more abstract oil pieces. Oh, and I gotta say, after I did that, after I left college, my mom liked it a lot and she claimed it, so I wish we had it here to show, but it went back to my mom after I took it down from the library.
Well, it made an impression on a few people, for sure, I know that. So tell me about your late Somerville #1.
Okay, this one here.
Yeah.
Okay, I did that one quite a while back, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Went on a camping trip with my parents to Somerville, Lake Somerville, and took several photos. I think I have 2 other paintings of the same lake, but from different photos. And yeah, this is one of my earlier steps into the oil painting, impressionist style. Really dark. Yeah, I was happy with that. Intentional. And just layering, starting with the darkest colors, and then layering the lighter colors, these oranges, browns, and reds. Just, it's not a photorealistic copy of the photo that I saw. It's just kind of my impression that I got. The things that I liked in the scenery is what I tried to impose. Pretty faint black horizon dividing the lake and the sky, with peaks of trees and of course the sun setting. Yeah, as far as the medium, it's the masonite boards that I like to use a lot. A lot of people like canvas. That seems like the totally classic fine art medium. I've never been super happy using canvas. I feel like they're really fragile.
Yeah.
For one, you can dent them, or of course you can cut them. That's one worry, but it's just as easy to dent them if you're like painting too hard on them, or if you lean them against the wall and something bumps against them, you can totally ruin the surface. And then that vulnerability lasts for as long as the piece. If you're trying to move and take it with you, you got to really protect those. So I found these boards I like a lot are a lot more durable.
Does the paint, the action of the brush and paint, does it smear differently on masonite?
It feels totally different. So yeah, when you're working on a canvas, it's like soft and it has like a bounce to it.
Yeah.
Kind of like that if you've ever tried like a large canvas. Or heck, I have some of these little, somebody gave me these. These are the store bought ones. I usually build my own canvas. But there's definitely a bounce to it that takes some getting used to. And even after like dozens of canvas paintings, I'm like, I'm used to it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
So definitely working on a board like that doesn't have the give. So it definitely feels different.
Does it
contacting the
feel
brush.
like you can paint more accurately on it if it doesn't have that bounce, or?
Yes, if I was doing something real detailed, yeah, that would definitely be my choice. If I was going to do like a photorealistic, small, detailed portrait or something, a canvas definitely to me feels harder. I know there's like some great artists who they can do anything on a canvas, you know, but yeah, that's just my natural preference, and a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah, canvas is, you have to sell your piece for quite a bit to make your money back.
Oh yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your poppies. It was like red poppies and a stark yellow sky. That was fascinating color contrasts in that image.
Okay, I can picture it in my head. But yeah, so that piece probably did 10 years ago, maybe. It's actually pretty old too. The second oldest piece probably that I had at the library. And that was kind of a commission from my mom. I wouldn't say a real commission because she didn't like pay me like, here, paint this. She was like, oh, I'd really love, you know, for a gift for Mother's Day or something, you paint me a poppy field. So that was my only prompt, so I just went with it. And again, that's when I started the impressionist kind of work, working with oils. I first learned to use oils in community college when I was 18, 19, but even back then doing super detailed, trying to do the photorealistic stuff, so the poppies was like an early impressionist style. And yeah, I just kind of went to town, tried to be loose with it, tried to make it pretty.
What inspired the color contrast, the starkness of color usage?
I don't know, I did a lot of work. I guess a lot of my work, and especially in the past, was just dark. If that was your impression of the piece, that it's very muted, dark, reds, browns, and some black in there. It's just the way I felt. That's the way I like to do it. Those were the kinds of paintings that really caught my eye. I didn't like to do a lot of whole bright colors back then. So this is probably one of my brightest pieces that I've done just this past year. So you can see like kind of the evolution.
Yeah, what's the name of that piece?
I just called it Cloud Reveal.
Cloud
I took it sitting at work, getting ready in the morning, waiting to go inside, and I looked out the window and saw some nice clouds and took a photo. Ended up with that.
Even that has a nice muted quality to it for being one of your brighter oil paintings.
Right, yeah, that's a nice observation.
And around the frame or framing the clouds, are those leaves or?
Oh, right here at the border. Yeah, that's trees, couple trees.
And it's almost like a purplish gray hue.
Yeah, I've always been, some of my mentors in the past and stuff have always been trying to push me to stop using so much black in my paintings and to use like dark blues or purples. So that's what I went for, using a purple in place of black.
Cool. Right. How can, if someone wants to look at more of your work, is there any way, do you have anything on social media? Or?
So I like Instagram. I'm not so much on Facebook. And I had, back at the library, I had the Instagram link up there, but I can maybe find it really quick.
Yeah, we can post that too.
Yeah, that's artist Matthew Diaz, and that's it.
Artist Matthew
one
Diaz.
word, artist Matthew Diaz. Yep. And that's, it's mostly, looking at it, it's a lot of my more classical gallery type stuff, not so much my poppy illustration type stuff, because I have like kind of a big range with all those. But yeah, that's where you can see some.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more of your art and maybe doing another display in the near future.
Yeah, I'd totally love to. I'd love to do newer stuff. I'm trying to keep on painting, trying to make it a regular thing where I'm constantly creating, because I've kind of had a low spot in the last 7 years or so, just been too busy and hadn't had really the space to paint. So really doing the deal at the library was a refreshing, like, pick me up, kind of getting back into it, I guess you could say.
Oh, well, we're all looking forward to the next results from your creative endeavors. So thank you again, Matthew.
Oh, yeah, sure.